Hello, hello. Welcome to Mountain of Inspiration. This is our first live in quite a long time. So I am trying to make sure that everything is first of all up and running, and I'm going to give you a chance first of all to actually come in before we get started. I hope that everyone is actually having a fantastic day, fantastic evening, wherever you're going to be watching me from. As for me, it is a fantastic afternoon here in Toronto, Ontario. I'm just going to give myself about 5 minutes buffer, and after that we're going to get started because I just need to record this message for someone out there and leave it in the portfolio or the library of videos that we have, so that in the later, maybe the next few weeks, next few days, next few months, someone can actually come and just basically clean and watch this video and get what I believe is going to actually be given to you as lessons. Oh my God, let me just make sure that the sounds okay. Okay, the sound is perfect, so we are good. All right, so let's get started shortly. Again, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Dimitri. I am a gentleman who's actually based in Toronto. I am simply the gentleman who's on fire about seeing a jet propelled to your next level or dimension as far as your journey to wealth is concerned. I am based, as I'm saying, in Canada, more specifically the city known as Toronto, the city of a champion. So if you're ever looking for me, now you know how and where to find me. All right. This is live, so if you do have any question, please feel free to just jump in. But I'm hoping to actually stay with you for no more than an hour. So maximum an hour, maybe I would say maximum 45 minutes to an hour. So that's basically my goal as far as this presentation is concerned. But of course, we have 4 minutes to go before we can actually get started. This is my tea. I need my tea in order for me to actually to speak for at least an hour. And tea with honey so that I can preserve my voice and so I can actually speak without having to actually exert too much energy and strain my vocal cords. All right. It is almost 5:05. 1 more minute and we're gonna get started. Feel free to jump in. Hello, PJ Media Kenya. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon, for you this evening, because I'm sure you're watching me not from North America, but from a different continent. Are you in Europe, or are you in Asia, or are you in Africa? Please let me know in the chat. PJ Media Kenya, thank you very much again for being here. The Lisa D Delight Show, my goodness, all the way from America. God bless you. Thank you very much for being here. So much love to you. And a piece of the pie with Ty. Oh, my brother. Oh, my goodness. Long time. I mean, it's always a pleasure to see you online. So thank you very much for being here. I promise to actually be with you maybe for maximum 45 minutes. The gathering within. Oh, my goodness. I'm feeling the energy coming into. So let me just slow down. So I'm feeling the energy, but let me just calm down. So nice of you to join. So I'm definitely excited to see you. I'm definitely grateful for your presence. So looking forward to having an amazing session with all of you this evening. How's everyone? Dallas, how's Dallas? The Lisa the Delight Show. A few days ago, you posted something really funny. It says, too hot for you. Too hot for you in Texas. And this is the reason why you don't want to go to hell. And I'm telling you, if anything, it's never too late. You can always plan to actually move to Canada, because the weather in Canada is actually fabulous in the summer. It's not too hot, not too cold, just the perfect temperature that you need for what you have to do when it comes to barbecuing outside. The gathering, thank you very much. I know you are working today, so thank you very much for actually joining me this evening, this afternoon for you, because you're in America. I'm beyond grateful. All right, so we're going to get started. Dear man, as a matter of fact, I'm going to try my very best to slow down, just to go as slowly as possible so I can actually cover as much as possible. Dear man, the default mode network circuitry that we have in our brain that allow us to actually function at the way it was supposed to be, at the optimum levels. This particular circuit in our brains only comes into the picture once we allow ourselves to come to a place where we start unfocusing. We simply decide to just slow down and give ourselves permission to just be. In our being, we then give our brain permission to let the DMN kick in. And as the DMN kick in, as I was saying yesterday, it then goes into all the different phases in the past, in the present, and somehow it has an ability to actually jet propel itself into the future and almost intuit or imagine the type of solution or the type of situation or the type of problems you'll be dealing with as far as the future is concerned. So it then brings the future into the present, and it connects the present into the past, and then gives you the momentum you need to actually figure out exactly which direction to go and the clarity to come up with the precise solution that you need as far as your particular problem is concerned and as far as the future is concerned. Again, this is DMN, Default Mode Network. Let me just slow down so I can actually acknowledge family here. Lady Valizi Uche, all the way from the United Kingdom. Thank you very much for joining us this evening, because I know it's already evening for you. I'm so beyond grateful for your presence. That's all I can say. Oh, yes. Yeah, please feel free to mingle. Yes, so that was basically the foundation of what I was saying yesterday. And on top of that, one key thing I want to mention is the fact that our brain is a powerful device. Our brain is a powerful tool. Our brain is a powerful instrument that can actually do wonders. But in order for the brain to function properly, we have to be able to actually operate the brain the way it's supposed to be operated. Number one. Number two, we have to create the right environment for that tool to actually work properly. For example, if you come to Canada in the winter time and you want to drive your car, let's say you're coming from Dallas, Texas, you decide to drive from Dallas, Texas, and you come to Canada in the middle of the winter, and you're driving, I'm sure, with your summer tires. What's going to happen is, if it's a snowy day, quickly you're going to realize that your tires are going to be completely not what you need when it comes to moving and maneuvering around the city, and you're going to find yourself in a position where your car may actually just stall, or at one point you might get yourself in a very bad accident, because it's going to be very slippery for your tires that are designed for the summer season. So precisely because you failed to realize that you had to change the tire in order for your car to function properly or to operate properly in this particular environment. So in other words, if we have to just take the same analogy and apply it to the brain, in order for the brain to actually properly function, you have to make sure you create the right environment. Make sure you outfit your brain properly, so that your brain, when you actually put in one particular situation, it knows exactly how to function. Because if you bring your, let's say, your summer brain into the winter without summer tires, it's not going to function properly. Vice versa, if you bring your winter brain into the summer without making sure you make all the changes as far as tires are concerned, you're going to find yourself very quickly in a place where your winter tires are going to actually start giving you trouble, and you're going to become a liability for yourself and for the people around you. So in other words, what I'm trying to say is, your brain is a powerful tool. But in order for that tool to function properly, you have to learn to use it effectively, and more specifically, you have to learn to create the right environment for the brain to actually then operate at optimum levels. Oh my goodness, that was quite a mouthful, but I'm going somewhere. Oh my goodness, let me also greet Lady Mimine Kaka TV all the way from the United Kingdom as well. Thank you very much for being here. I'm so beyond grateful for all the people all the way in the United Kingdom, America, and also I believe Asia or Africa that have joined us as far as this live is concerned. So as I was saying, the brain is a powerful tool, but the brain, in order for it to function properly, it needs the right environment, and it needs also for you to know exactly how to operate this particular tool. Otherwise, you're going to find yourself in a place of great distraction, and you're going to become a liability for yourself and for the people around you. And for yesterday, what I did is I gave you 4 examples. I gave you 2 examples when it comes to the levels of intelligence, because I mentioned that a few months ago. We have different levels of intelligence. We have social intelligence, we have spiritual intelligence, we have emotional intelligence, we have cognitive intelligence, we have kinesthetic intelligence, and so on and so forth. And yesterday I gave you 2 examples when it comes to kinesthetic intelligence, which is basically the sports industry. I gave you Mike Tyson and I gave you Muhammad Ali, and I also give you 2 examples when it comes to social intelligence. I gave you Billy Mason, and I gave you also Harriet Tubman. So Billy Mason was actually a woman, and Harriet was also a woman. The first 2 examples I gave, and then I moved on to the men, which were the larger example. But in order for me to actually move effectively today, I will need to just spend some time just reviewing what you covered yesterday before we can go to the 4 examples I have for you today. My goodness, it's going to be quite amazing. So please bear with me. Oh, yes. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much. I so appreciate you. Hold tight. Piece of the pipe. I so appreciate you. Thanks for the thumbs up and thank you for the love. I so appreciate you. So again, let's go back to the first two example. First example was this woman who actually born in 1818 by the name of B.D. Mason. She was actually born Bridget. But when she was born, very quickly, the people, her employers, because I believe that's more appropriate. That's more that's more. I can't say the owner. I would say the employer decided to actually shorten the name, stop calling her Bridget and started calling her Biddy, because they wanted to let her know in no uncertain terms that yes, she was someone that belonged to them, and they had every right to actually simply talk to her however they saw fit. And that was 1818. She was born in Maryland, somewhere in America. As she was born in Maryland, very quickly she realized that yes, her life was going to be very difficult, because very quickly she realized that she was passed from one employer to another with the name of Robert Smith, and Robert Smith started moving around. He moved first of all to Salt Lake, Utah in America, and from there he moved to California. And as he moved to California, basically about 1,600 miles from where he was originally, he moved all the way to California. Basically, Biddy and the rest of the employees were actually walking beyond the caravan all the way to California. They got to California. As they got to California, Biddy Mason and her co-workers were not told that yes, in California, in a particular state of California, what your employer is doing is illegal. Because in California, around 1840, it'll come back to me. Around 1842, it was actually illegal for someone to actually have quote-unquote slaves. It was illegal. But B.D. Mason did not know, and she basically also found herself in a place of grace because they didn't know how to operate as far as claiming on freedom is concerned. So it took a few local people to come talk to them and simply say, yeah, here's the procedure. If you want to break free from this particular employer, what we have to do, we have to go before the judge. And as we go before the judge, we're going to plead your case, simply say that, yes, these people have been brought into California and they're actually working in a legal manner because they're actually working as slaves, and which is illegal in the state. So as we go before the judge and you actually can prove your case, the judge is going to give you the freedom you so deserve. And that's exactly what they did. So they went to court, and of course Robert Smith was actually called into court, and he was confronted. And after the case was actually properly pled before the judge said, yes, you have a case. This man should not be employing you as slave, so you have the right to go now. So Billy said to herself, my goodness, for all these years, for 1856, my goodness, yes, 1856. She says to herself, for all these years, I've been actually operating as a slave. I don't have a last name. I don't know what my last name is going to be. So what am I going to do? I'm just going to look around to see what last name I can actually espouse, adopt as my own last name. So she looked around and she saw, oh, by the way, the local mayor, as far as this particular city is concerned, his last name is Mason. So I started calling myself B.D. Mason. And that's how basically her situation changed from just being a slave to actually becoming a person within California and able to actually operate and to work without having to be brought to and fro as a slave. And that was 1856. And now, because we're talking about social intelligence, she says to herself, she says, I've been working under this man for all these years, and I have 3 children. I don't know what to do because this man basically was dictating to us when to eat, what to eat, and basically how to earn wages. I've been working on the side also as a midwife, so I have some skills. So I need to find a way to start to hit the ground running because my children are depending on me. So what am I going to do? She said to herself, social intelligence. I know how to talk to people. I know more specifically how to talk to couples, and I know more particularly how to talk to mothers who are expecting and to give them the confidence to actually go through the birthing process without actually going into distress mode. So I'm going to start advertising my services around California and see where this is going to take me intuitively. So as she does it intuitively, very quickly, rumors started spreading. Once started to getting around saying that yes, there is this woman who came all the way from Utah, from Maryland, and she knows how to be an amazing and effective midwife. So you have to, if you want someone to be with you when it comes to the delivery process, you have to call upon B.D. Mason. And B.D. Mason actually just intuitively started building a business and started basically going from one level to the next and eventually going to the next dimension. And by a certain time, she realized that she had enough money basically sitting in her house, more than enough to feed her children, and she said, what am I going to do next? And now we're basically in Los Angeles. She says, how about I start now investing in real estate? And we're talking about, again, someone who spent the first 38 years of her life as a slave. She started saying to herself, so how about now start owning real estate? Because I believe real estate is going to be not only what I need for my own family, but also what I need to build the legacy that my children and the generation coming after me need. And that's exactly what she did. And before you know it, by the time she passed, I believe in 1891, she was remembered as the grandmother of LA because she went on to buy so much property that by the time she actually passed away, she was referred to as a real estate mogul. Why? Because she was able to simply use her social intelligence to build an empire that basically stood the test of time. That was example number one. Oh my goodness, let me just say quickly to a very good friend of mine, Coach Mimi Dabo, all the way from, Washington, D.C. Thank you very much for joining me this afternoon. Oh, what is she saying? Yes, indeed. She was a pioneer. So that was B.D. Mason. She was a pioneer indeed. So again, from 1818 all the way to 1891, if I'm not mistaken. So she was a pioneer and she went on to build this empire. Again, we're talking about social intelligence. Example number one. Example number two, 1822, still in America. I believe this time was in, first one. 1818 was in Mississippi and 1820 was now in Maryland. In 1822 in Maryland was born this young girl who came to be known as Araminta Ross. Araminta Ross was born in the same condition. Basically, she was being employed, quote unquote, as a slave. So between when she was born until age 8, she was employed as a housemaid because the employer simply said to herself, she's too young to go out there to work in a content field, but she has to be inside with me so she can actually learn how to be how to work as an employee. Number one. Number two, and she can also work inside to give us her services until she's strong enough to actually go outside, outdoor, and work as the rest of my employees. That's what she did until she reached about until 1830, because she was born in 1822. So from 1830 until 1842, she was working in the field basic as the rest of the slave. And at one point she said to herself, my goodness, it looks like this situation is never going to change, but I found someone who can actually marry me. And if this person was actually a free man, decide to marry me, hopefully my employer is going to say to himself, because she's now a married woman, we're going to let her go so she can actually go on to enjoy her life as a married woman. Unfortunately for her, as she get married to this gentleman, the employer simply said, no, I'm still going to keep you as an employee in my house because you still belong to me. She said, this is crazy. I went through this process of actually getting married because I was hoping to actually claim my freedom. I went through the process actually saying no to my former brand, my former identity as Araminta Ross, because I decided to actually start calling my name now, to calling myself now as Harriet, which was the middle name that my mother used to use, and to start calling myself Tubman, which is the last name of my husband. So how come this man who knows now that my new brand is now Harriet Tubman still want to employ me? I want what she said to herself, no. I realize that the economy of America is actually going in the wrong direction, and because of that, before you know it, all these people actually in the South that depend on quote unquote this free workforce known as slaves, they're gonna come after us and they're gonna bring me back into the fold and try to force me into doing all this hard labor. So in order for me to actually escape this, I need to find a way to run away from these people. And as she's planning to actually run away from the people, she said to herself, but I cannot run with myself because I'm a young woman and I need to figure out exactly how to actually defend myself if anything were to happen to me. So she talked to a few people around her, and two gentlemen, two brothers, one by the name of Ben and the other by the name of Henry, agreed to now work with her and to run away from the owner all the way to Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love. But as fate will have it, as they started running away, quote unquote, from their employer, at one point, Ben and Henry were being so conditioned to see themselves. Oh my goodness, let me now slow down. Ben and Henry, we had been so conditioned, so branded. So and when I say branded, I mean it. You see, like when you have cattle, as they do in North America and around the world, you take something hot and put it on the skin so that the brand of your farm will be on the skin, and so that the animal will remember somehow that yes, I belong, let's say, to this particular farm. Unfortunately, when it comes to branding, it works similarly. Ben and Henry, as they were running away from the employer, at one point they said to themselves, all our lives we've been working for our employer. That's all we know. We only know how to work 9 to 5. So basically in the morning we know how to wake up, and we know basically how to work, and we know exactly what to do, and we know exactly when we're going to receive our food. We are now running away from this structure, and we are going to now to a distant and completely strange structure. What is the guarantee that we have that we're going to actually do very well? So at one point I said to myself, you know what? This was fun when we started, but now it's becoming too dangerous. How about we simply go back to the employer and simply beg him to take us back and simply forgive us for the audacity that we had to simply run away? So these two gentlemen, Ben and Henry, found a way to run back to the employer, and leaving Araminta Ross, now known as Harriet Tubman, to fend for herself. But how did she manage to actually leave from Maryland and go all the way to Philadelphia? And this is precisely what I would like to actually discuss very quickly. It was based on one key mental faculty, which was simply intuition. Oh my goodness, intuition. It was the very first time that she was running away from that particular place and going to Philadelphia. So she did not know the route very well. There was no GPS, there was no device to tell her exactly what to do. So what she had to do is she had to reach inside her. She had to basically reach in and simply find a way to simply say to herself, I'm now going to surrender. I'm going to simply say yes. This is the extent of my intelligence. I'm simply going to unfocus. I'm going to unfocus. Stop looking at what's happening on the outside and start looking within. And as I'm going to start looking within, I'm going to trust that somehow this thing called brain is going to take over. And she did not know this concept known as DMN, Default Mode Network. But somehow she trusted that as the brain was going to take over, the brain as the DMN was going to simply go now into the past and see exactly how she suffered as a young girl. She was born into slavery, and as basically she got married at age 22, and still the employer refused to let her go. So basically some kind of story like Egypt. So Pharaoh would not let her go so she could actually go and be with her people. And she trusted the brain to take over. And guess what the brain did? The brain basically gave her basically the social intelligence, to give her basically the intuition to now see exactly how to maneuver around this strange terrain, how to maneuver around this map that she had never seen before. So she found a way to actually leave where she was all the way to Philadelphia safely. And by the time she got there, she simply said to herself, my goodness, I know that along the way between Maryland and Philadelphia, there were many people looking for me, because as a matter of fact, as I was running away, the quote-unquote owner ran to the local newspaper and simply says, I'm looking for someone that used to work for me, someone that used to belong to me. I'm not looking for Harriet Tubman. I'm looking for someone who's branded after my business. Her name is Minty, M-I-N-T-Y, short for Araminta. And same thing as Bridget Mason. The owner simply found a way to simply reduce them to how can I put it? To the basic expression, so that they will know that yes, you are inferior. So they will feel like they're inferior to the quote-unquote owner. So he was calling her Minty. He goes to the newspaper and simply says, I'm looking for Minty. If you see Minty, please bring her back to me. And of course, all the people, all the headhunters started looking around between Philadelphia and Maryland, trying to see if there was anyone corresponding to the profile that this owner given them, that they could arrest and bring back for a ransom all the way to Maryland, so they could actually get exactly what they were looking for. And somehow Minty or Harriet Tubman managed to escape them. And when she got there, she simply said, my goodness, this thing called brain is working just well. I just use my social intelligence to actually outmaneuver and outwit all these people. So how about I start going back and forth between Philadelphia and Maryland to help free as many people as possible? And that's exactly what she did. And for all the time she did that, she never got caught, not even once, to the point where by the time the Civil War in America broke out, the president even heard about this woman by the name of Minty or Harriet Tubman, and he said to himself, we somehow have to find a way to start using her because her social intelligence, the IQ that she has demonstrated when it comes to social intelligence is so up there that we have to absolutely find a way to work with her, to find a way to send her over there in the South to tell us exactly what the Southerners are thinking so we can actually outmaneuver them and also outwit them. And that's exactly what she did until she passed away and she never got caught once again. That was example number 2. Let me just see if there's any message here. Oh my goodness. Oh, all the way from Nigeria. Moment with Coty. Thank you very much for being here. I'm so blessed to see you here. Mother of triplets plus one. Mother of triplets plus one. Thank you very much for being here. Oh yes. Oh, thank you very much for also sharing this. Absolutely. Minty, as a matter of fact, when we call her Minty, we have to remember that Minty was actually the brand that she was basically saying no to. Harriet Tubman was indeed an ambitious woman who simply saying, no, I'm going to use my brain. I'm going to actually be in a place of focus so my brain can actually safely take me from where I am now all the way to Philadelphia. And that was absolutely brilliant. So that was second example as far as social intelligence is concerned. We're still talking about women. So now, let's move now to men. Now we're going to talk about kinesthetic intelligence. So basically, muscles, your ability to use your body to actually move around and make great things happen for yourself. So before Michael Jordan, before LeBron James, before Steph Curry, before all these great names that you know as far as sports is concerned, before Venus Williams, before Serena Williams, before all the great names, there were 2 people that basically made history. One was actually born on January 17, 1942 in Louisville, Kentucky, by the name of, back then known as Cassius Clay. And now let's see also how basically your brain is going to actually take over and get them to the top. Cassius Clay, as he's born, is basically minding his own business. He goes to school as Cassius Clay, and he realizes very quickly that yes, your brain is actually working well, but not so well, because he was almost diagnosed with what they would call he had attention issues. He could not focus for too long. So the teacher was simply saying to himself, this boy is not going to amount to much. One day, unfortunately or fortunately, he's riding his brand new bicycle, a red bicycle, and he's actually going around town. And at one point, he started to park the bicycle somewhere beside a gym and go attend to some business. And when he comes back, he realized that the bicycle had been stolen. So he said to himself, my goodness, if only I could learn how to fight, I'm going to find the people who actually did this and I'm going to give them a very severe beating. And as he's speaking to himself, he sees someone who's standing there as a police officer. So he goes to the police officer and says, by the way, I would like to lodge a complaint. And the police officer look at him and say, what is the complaint? Sir, with all due respect, I parked my bike here. I came back and someone stole it, and he started giving description of the bike, and before the officer could say anything, says, if I find these people, I'm going to give them a beating that they're not going to forget. So at this point, the officer by the name of John Martin stopped in his track. He simply says, but my goodness, how can you speak so confidently? You look so frail, you look so small, you have no idea the size of the person who actually sold the bicycle. Number one. Number two, I'm looking at you, I can tell you don't know how to fight. How can you possibly go on to beat people if you don't know how to fight? If you're that small, how can you possibly make this actually a possibility? This is nonsense. So Joe Martin jokingly said to him, as a matter of fact, if you want to beat these people, what I need to do for you, I need to first of all train you to become a boxer, so that when you and if you actually find these people, you have greater chance of actually giving them the beating that they so deserve. It's not a funny thing. I said to myself, it must have also been the intuition, the brain that took over, because at that age, I kept asking myself the question, which part of the brain precisely was able to speak to the young Cassius Clay and simply say, yes, now go into the gym, look at what this gentleman has to offer you and simply embrace it as your destiny. What could have possibly led this young man into the gym? I will simply say the default mode network. At that point, he must simply unfocus from the bicycle and unfocus from everything, and right there And there, the brain took over, and the brain simply says, yes, now, young man, please step out of the way. We're going to tell you exactly what you do. You're going to go into the gym, you're going to observe the gym, and you're going to embrace everything that this guy is going to actually put you through as your destiny. You are not going to run home to tell your parents what has happened. You are not going to run home to ask for permission. You are going to embrace this thing as your new identity, and more specifically, part of your branding package. Again, DMN, default mode network. When the brain is actually functioning properly, my friend, great things become possible. My goodness. This young man, as the Cassius Clay brand, he actually went from that position all the way to 1960 to actually win, be sent to Rome for 1960 Olympics, and come back home with a gold medal for the light heavyweight division. That was 1960. From that point, he simply said to himself, as far as this thing is concerned, I can see I have a future in boxing. So let me just use this as now my full-time profession. And he started doing that, and he wanted to now go challenge the person who was at the top of the food chain. So before we go any further, let me just put something in proper perspective. In the 1960s, between 1962 and 1964, there was one particular gentleman that was actually reigning as a very bad man. So when I say bad man, you have to know exactly what bad man is. This man was not only known as being the hitman for the mafia, but he was also very dangerous in the boxing ring, because as soon as he was actually facing, he was simply able to intimidate you and actually reduce or shred to pieces every single opponent that actually came his way. So young Cassius Clay said to himself, I'm going to go challenge this man, and it's just one more thing. So by the time he's actually wanted to challenge this man, there was something key that happened. There was a champion by the name of Floyd Patterson. Floyd Patterson, as he was the reigning champion, at one point he goes to the White House to meet with the president at the time, John Kennedy. And as he met John Kennedy, the president, is telling Floyd Patterson the following. He says, whatever you're going to do in this season, please don't fight this man known as, oh my goodness. Woo! Please don't fight this man who's actually want to fight you. Why? Because this guy is known as a very dangerous man. We know he works for the mafia. He works with the mafia. And if he fights you and he wins, he's going to become the champion. And the championship now is going to be the end of the mafia. Floyd Patterson makes a mistake and actually going there to actually fight. And he loses the championship to that gentleman. Cassius Clay comes and wants to challenge him, and people thought it was crazy because they say, you barely graduated as a light heavyweight. Why would you go now challenge the top of the top athlete and actually lose everything to this guy? He said, I'm going to beat him. He goes and he wins. And what I'm saying as far as this thing is concerned, it was completely an act of intuition, because as far as the brain is concerned, when the brain started operating and the young man simply unfocused from all other possibilities, the brain started basically telling him exactly what to do and what option to take and what decision to make as far as the boxing career is concerned. Number one, 1967 comes, and of course he's actually stripped of his medal and everything because he refused to go to Vietnam. 1967 all the way to 1971 is unable to fight. 1974, just to actually fast forward, he has the chance to actually now go fight for the championship again. But for that, he has to go to Africa, he has to go to the Congo. And as he goes to the Congo, he has to fight a young man by the name of George Foreman in his 20s. Because Muhammad Ali now, by the time, is in his 30s. Is seen as has-been. So as he gets into the ring, after seeing all the people from his corner actually cry in the change room, as he gets into the ring, he realizes that yes, I can basically do all I can for maybe one ring, for two rounds, but above and beyond that, this young man is basically full of stamina. He can actually keep up with me. So what happened is he did now inventing right there and there something completely unseen, completely unheard of before, which was simply the rope-a-dope technique. So instead of actually just standing there to just take all the punches, he decided basically to recline and to lean against the ropes and basically receive as much beating as possible, protecting himself. And when he's doing that, he's also causing the champion to lose energy, lose stamina, and lose confidence. People thought he was actually losing his mind. But what exactly was happening is the brain looked into the past. looked into the present, looked into the future, and said, the only way for you to actually beat this man is by creating something brand new, which is basically the rope-a-dope. And as he did that, of course, you know the rest is history, because eventually he came to actually defeat George Foreman. And that was basically an act of intuition based on the fact that he was able now to rely on his brain. Again, that was example when it comes to kinesthetic intelligence. Now, let's move to second example for kinesthetic intelligence. 1966 in Fort Greene, New York City, in New York State, was born, more specific, in June 30th, 1966, a young man by the name of Mike Tyson. As Mike Tyson is actually born, very quickly realizing that his father did not have an intention of actually being a father, being present. So the father walked away. And as he walked away, the man is basically left to fend for herself with the boys in the house, in the apartment. So mother has to actually work 2 or 3 jobs in order for her to just be able to provide the minimum for the family, just to actually have enough to eat and a roof over their head. As this is happening, of course, Mike Tyson started getting himself into trouble. One issue after the other is now basically becoming more and more known by the local police officers around New York City. So it got to a point where it was now at age 12, so 1978, sitting in the office of a particular gentleman by the name of Bobby Stewart. Bobby Stewart, as a social worker, says the following: based on what I'm seeing on your rap sheet, you are not going anywhere. As a matter of fact, all I see for you is basically jail for the rest of your life, or maybe, if you're lucky, get to a place where someone's going to shoot you before you can actually go be sentenced for life in prison. So what I need to do, I need to figure out exactly what I'm going to do with you. But I realized one thing: this guy is ferocious. He loves to fight. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this young man from New York City and bring him to a place known as a Catskill in New York, and I'm going to introduce him to a mentor of mine by the name of Castor Mato. And that's what he did in 1978. He goes to Castor Mato in 1978. He said, Castor Mato, I'm this young man who's been running into trouble for the past 12 years, and now basically this guy is this close to messing up his life. What can we do for this young man? I believe you have the answer, because this guy loves to fight. Castor Mato says, if you believe he loves to fight, that's fine. He's only 12. We're going to see what he's made of. So we're going to give him a pair of boxing gloves and get him into the ring and see exactly what he's going to do. As Mike Tyson is going to the ring, Castor Mato now turns to Bobby Stewart and says to Bobby Stewart, now it's your turn as well, because you used to be a boxer, professional boxer, to take also a pair of boxing gloves and get into the ring with this young man. So Bobby Stewart simply said to himself, but I am in my 20s. This young man is barely 12. What can I do? I'm going to basically annihilate this young man. Castor Mato says, that's precisely what I want to see. I want to see how this young man is going to react when he sees this flurry of punches coming his way. We're going to see how he's going to react, and basically we're going to make a decision. He gets into the ring. Of course, Bobby Stewart, being a former professional boxer, is actually doing a few things, and before you know it, within the first few seconds, Mike Tyson is bleeding profusely. So now, here's the funny thing. Oh my goodness. Somehow, in 1978, in the midst of this ordeal, when he sees himself in a ring with someone who has more experience as far as boxing is concerned, who has more stamina as far as being in the ring is concerned, and who knows exactly how to use the boxing glove and how to use the environment. So he's saying to himself, I am now outmaneuvered. I am basically now cornered. This is the end of me. Most kids this age will simply say, no, I'm going to shut down my brain because something is completely off. What he did is, he sees the blood actually coming down his face, coming down his nose. He said to himself, I'm going now to unfocus. I'm not seeing the blood. I'm not seeing the pain. I'm not seeing anything. I'm going to let my brain take over. And my brain is simply saying to me, my goodness, young man, Mike Tyson, keep going. And that's exactly what he did. He kept going, he kept coming, run after run, to the point where by the time they were done, Castor Mato says, because this guy is so resilient, we're going to train him to actually become the next world champion. That was in 1978. 1978. My goodness, let me just slow down. Let me just say hello to, first of all, to a very good friend of mine. Oh my goodness, Dimitri, please slow down. Hey Liz Aguirre, thank you very much for being here. I'm so beyond grateful for you. Oh my goodness. Yes. I am very passionate about history, legacy, and branding. Thank you very much, Coach Mimi Dabo. I am beyond passionate because you know what? Branding is definitely something I believe in when it comes to how to actually change your life. If you want to change your life, focus on your identity, focus on your branding, and the rest is going to be easy because everything that actually we do in life is based on the identity and the branding that basically causing our brain and our body and everything around us to operate in one particular way. So going back to the example of Mike Tyson, so it was 1978. So as he sit down now with Castamato says to Mike Tyson, simply says, young man, if you're going to do exactly what I'm going to ask you to do, if you're going to show up exactly what I'm going to ask you to show up, and if you're going to follow my instruction, I'm going to turn you into the youngest heavyweight champion as far as boxing is concerned. Again, we talk about 1978. At the time when Muhammad Ali was still actually around and still considered one of the great, not the greatest, because 4 years before that he was in the Congo, and that was 1970. So 4 years after the Congo, after Zaire, Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson was being told he was going to be the next world champion. He started listening to Castamato, and he started living with him very shortly after that. And between 1978 and 1985, unfortunately, Castamato passes away. But before Castamato passes away, here's what he said. I know boxing, I know identity, and I know branding. And as far as identity and branding are concerned, I've been looking around as far as the secret is concerned. And I know that there are a few people that basically can cause this young man, Mike Tyson, my protege, to basically shortchange himself. So what I have to put a list of people that he has to avoid before he reaches a certain level, because he's only barely 18 or 19 and was around in 1985. He puts together a list and he gives to the people around him. And on this list, there was one particular name by the name of Reginald Gross out of Maryland. Reginald Gross was actually seen as a very dangerous man. His branding was not so glamorous, but he was known by customers as a man who knew how to rise to the occasion when it comes to when a fight was particularly actually important. After Castamato passed away in 1986, something crazy happened. People were basically avoiding Mike Tyson, but Reginald Gross simply said, I'm going to go fight Mike Tyson. So they say, let's put them in the ring together. So they get to the ring, and of course, Reginald Gross at the time was 27, and Mike Tyson was barely 19. They get to the ring, first round goes, Mike Tyson comes and basically tried to challenge. He challenged Reginald Gross, and it was actually very effective. And very quickly after that, within 2 minutes, Reginald Gross saw an opening and started basically landing a few points of his own. And with that, basically, his confidence grew to the point where he became overconfident. So Reginald Gross thought to himself, my goodness, I've been able to defeat much more serious opponent. This young man was only barely 19, is now basically at the mercy of my fist. Let me now just take advantage of him and just start basically, making all this fist rain upon this young man. And that's what he started doing. And as he started doing that, something crazy happened. Again, the brain. The brain. Somehow, Mike Tyson's brain moved into DMN, Default Mode Network. Mike Tyson's brain basically said, yes, I see danger, but all I'm going to do, I'm just going to duck for cover. And he said basically dancing around all these fists, dancing around all these punches, and before you know it, he found an opening. It was just one. With just one punch, it sent this man by the name of Reginald Gross to the canvas, and people were completely shocked. How did he find just one opening, and with one shot, he was able to send this grown man to the canvas? And here's exactly what I can give you as an answer: the brain. When you know who you are, when you identify for yourself the brain you're going to actually carry, and you actually come to a place when you simply say, I'm going to unfocus. I'm simply going to unfocus. Know my priorities and slow down and let your brain take over. Your brain is going to cause all your mental faculty to start working in such beautiful alignment. You're going to know exactly what to do even when you seem to be in danger. Because exactly in 1986, when he was in danger, a brain took over and gave him exactly the right combination so you could actually find the one opening that would just give him the right punch to send Reginald Gross to the canvas. Example number 4. Let me just say real quick with my family again here. Oh my goodness, she's family. Thank you very much for joining us. I believe all of you from America. I also have a great farmer, Freelance. Thank you very much for being here. I so love all of you. You guys are beyond amazing. And the last 2 examples, I'm going to keep it very short. Last 2 examples, I'm going to use 2 examples. I'm going to use cognitive intelligence. I'm going to start example number 1. November 7, 1867, in this place known as Poland. He was born a young girl that came to be known as Mary. Mary eventually moved from Poland to France, and she got married to a young professor who was teaching physics in France. In 1903, they published a paper together, and the paper was so amazing that actually got the Nobel Prize for that particular year. Shortly after that, unfortunately for her, her husband passed away, and that was basically very tragic. It was a tragic accident in Paris. Marie Curie said to herself, I managed to actually receive the Nobel Prize in 1903 because of a work that I did together with my husband. But somehow, my brain is telling me, it's time for me to now to leave the world of physics and go in a totally brand new direction. I need now to go into the world of chemistry. People say to her, but why would you do that? You receive a job. When your husband passed away, the university gave you a chance to now work as a professor, a university professor, instead of your husband. So why would you leave that and now go to chemistry? Say, no, my brain is telling me it's time now to move from this particular thing and go into chemistry, which she did. And guess what? 1911, after she published another paper, she received the second Nobel Prize just for her works. Again, 1903, she received Nobel Prize for work in physics. 1911, she received Nobel Prize for what she did in the world of chemistry. And of course, the rest is history. So why am I talking about this woman so very quickly? Because I just want to highlight the fact that when your brain is actually operating properly and you basically come to a place where you simply know how to unfocus, just stop looking at things that really don't matter. You know what to actually focus on when it comes to your priorities, and you know exactly how to slow down. Your brain will take over and start giving you the right strategy when it comes to how to operate as far as the environment is concerned. Because in her case, nobody was asking you to move from physics and go to chemistry. But the brain simply says, if you want to make history, you have to go now from physics to chemistry, and that's how she came to make history. And to make matter even more beautiful, as if that was not enough, her brain, Curie, became so powerful that even her daughter, by the name of Irene Joliot, when she was born, she said to herself, my goodness, I want to follow in the footsteps of my parents. I want to become also a scientist. And guess what? In 1935, she also published a paper and she also received a Nobel Prize. So basically, they became one of the rarest family in the world to receive 2 Nobel Prizes within the same century for the work they produced as far as science is concerned. Now, that was the example now when it comes to cognitive intelligence in the world of science. Woman. Now let's move to the second example. 1865 was 1867. That was 1867. That was November 7, 1867. That was Mary Curie. And now in 1879, in the place called Germany, more specific in a place called Ulm, so ULM, was born a man by the name of Albert. Albert was born to a family of Jewish people. And as he was born, things were actually going okay. But very quickly, the father simply said to himself, something funny is happening as far as this young boy is concerned. Number one, his head seems to be too big. He has a big head. The size of the head basically doesn't look like the size of everyone's head as far as his age is concerned. So they go to the doctor, and after a few tests, they realized that his head was absolutely fine. And that was the first concern. Second concern is, by the time he reached age 4, he was not really talking. And when he started talking, this young toddler by the name of Albert, he had a very peculiar way of actually talking. This is how we're talking. I want to eat something. Fabulous. So the pastor kept asking himself, but why is he speaking basically in stereo? He has to speak to himself before he can speak to us. Something's completely off. They go to the doctor again. They do a few tests and they realize that nothing was actually wrong. Second concern. So what they did is, he was born in Ulm. From that point, they actually moved to Munich in Germany. And from Munich, they moved to Italy. And eventually, they moved to Switzerland. And they moved to Switzerland to a place called, I believe, Aarau. A-R-A-U. And eventually, the young Albert was actually being sent to school. As he's sent to school, to a private school, things did not go very well for the first few years. As a matter of fact, as he got to school, the teacher kept saying, my goodness, your son is basically a waste of our time. He's not able to memorize the way the rest of the children are able to memorize. Number one. Number two, he's not able to comprehend on the concept we're teaching in his fine place of his learning. And therefore, we believe that it's not a good fit as far as your child and our institution is concerned. So they brought in the parents for a meeting, and eventually they realized that yes, the teacher were right. It was time for them to move the son Albert from that particular school to another school. So they're moving from this very orthodox and very prestigious private school to a more democratic and more liberal school where this young Albert went on to flourish. He was able to finish his education and eventually go to the university, polytechnics for people applying to become teachers as far as Switzerland is concerned. So as he goes there, I believe between 1893 and 1901, he actually managed to finish, but he finished at the bottom of his class. So therefore, he could not actually see himself as a teacher in a proper way, in a proper way. So he had to find another job. He was speaking to his father. His father simply said, I can find you a job in one of my friend's factories in Italy if you actually just willing to relocate to Italy. The son said, no, I'm not going to Italy. And the father said, but what are you going to do? He said, I'm going to look around for a job. So there was no job coming. There was another job coming for the insurance company. He turned it down. He turned it down. And eventually, they just heard that the son was able basically to go on to secure a position to work for the patent agency in Switzerland, which was basically a low-paying job. And the parents were completely stunned as to why he made a decision. But here's basically where things are going to get extremely interesting. As he started working for the patent agency, he was also working on figuring out exactly how to change certain things as far as what Newton had said before in the world of science. And one day, as he's standing outside the patent agency with one of his friends, complaining about the fact that his life had been such a miserable experience, from age 1 to age 4, he was basically brought to one doctor to another because parents had so many concerns. And when he went to the first school, he was actually rejected because his intelligence was not actually what they were looking for, and so on and so forth. So he said to his friend, he says, it feels like my life is basically has been a failure. It feels like I'm not going anywhere. And just right there and there, as he's saying that, basically on focusing on what he was actually trying to solve as the Newtonian mystery, right there and there, the brain was able to take over. The DMN was able to take over. Simply says, my great man, my young man, is now the solution we're looking for as far as this particular thing is concerned, which was basically the concept that came to give us birth to the concept known as relativity. He went on to work to write the papers, and eventually, I believe on 1911 or 1913, it was basically given what he was looking for when it comes to the recognition. He received a Nobel Prize for his contribution to the world of science, and eventually came to be known as Albert Einstein. I'm not done yet. 1933, somehow he actually found himself in America. And he said to himself, the brain again said to him, you are going to stay in America because you know what, as far as your future is concerned, this is where you have to be. And somehow, that was before 1939 when Germany decided to invade Poland, and that was, of course, the beginning of the war that came to know as World War II. So why am I using the example of these two people in the world of cognitive intelligence? Just to illustrate one thing. When you come to a place where you can actually park your thoughts and stop thinking, stop focusing on your own thoughts, reaching a place of no thought, you're going to come to a place where you're going to give your brain permission to take over. And when your brain takes over, it's going to give you precisely a chance to see what the DMN is saying as far as your situation is concerned. It just dawned on me, and this is the last example, that I finally understood why this particular man, known in a place of spiritual intelligence by the name of Jesus, what he was saying in the book of Matthew in chapter 6. In chapter 6, in the book of Matthew, Jesus says the following. He says, take no thought for tomorrow. Again, he's saying, take no thought for tomorrow. He said, take no thought for tomorrow because tomorrow is going to actually fend for itself. He said, take no thought for tomorrow. In other words, what he is saying is, if you can just come to a place where you stop thinking, you stop actually trying to manage everything on your own, and let your brain take over. Let your brain come to a place where the DMN is going to be activated, you're going to become unstoppable. That was basically the premise of what he was saying. And he moved on eventually to simply say, in 6:33, to simply says, oh my goodness. He said, seek you first the kingdom. And of course, you know the rest. But when he's talking about kingdom, it's not talking about your spiritual kingdom. It's also talking about the cognitive kingdom that's within you. If you can just change your perception, go on to start seeing yourself as a king. Go on to start seeing yourself as a queen. And this identity goes on to give you the type of brain that you so deserve. You are going to simply let your brain operate at a place where you're going to become unstoppable. Because once you start doing that, your imagination, your intuition, your memory, your ability to proceed, to reason with people is going to be exponentially increased. And that's exactly what he was saying. And of course, if you look at this particular scripture, it can also give you back a sense of what Moses was actually referring to when he actually met this bush on fire. And the bush, as he was talking to the bush, he says, as you're sending me now to go to Egypt, what is it I'm going to tell these people? If they ask me, who is sending you? And the voice from the bush simply said to Moses, tell them, I am that I am. Tell them, I am that I am. Simply give them the following message. In order for you to be successful, you're simply going to have to park your thoughts. In order for you to be successful, you're simply going to have to park your thoughts. Remove yourself from the equation. Just trust that the brain is going to take over, and as the brain is going to take over, the brain is simply going to activate the DMN. And as the DMN is going to be activated, the DMN will tell you exactly how to go back into the past. See exactly what has happened in the past, how to see in the present exactly what's at stake. And how to go into the future to see exactly how things are going to work out and to make exactly the right decision and to find the right solution for your particular problem. That's exactly when you're going to now manifest what I'm going to put upon you. I'm going to put upon you a new brain, and the brain is going to be called I amness. If you can just come to a place where you're going to simply trust the instrument, the device that put it within you, you're going to come to a place where you're going to simply operate from a place of letting the brain operate, and you're going to become a person, man or woman in the zone. The reason why most of us are basically struggling right now because we are trying too much to figure out exactly how we're going to go from point A to point B. But when you look at the books of history, where the people that have actually made history in the world of social intelligence, spiritual intelligence, cognitive intelligence, kinesthetic intelligence, you come to realize they only do that when they come to a place where they simply park their own thoughts and they put aside their own ego and they start trusting the brain and to let the brain to guide them. And when you become a person, a woman, who can trust your own brain, you simply become unstoppable. Oh my gosh. My goodness. So I've been speaking for 57 minutes. Thank you very much for being here. Queen, keeping up with Queen Eva, thank you very much for being here. Coach Mimi Dabo, all the way from Washington, D.C., thank you very much for being here. My goodness. Yes. Let me just catch my breath very quickly before I just deliver the last message again. Again, in order for you to actually go to the next level, in order for you to actually get into the zone, you simply have to practice the following. UPS, you simply have to unfocus. Stop looking at your problems. Because the more you look at the problem, the more you magnify them. The more you focus on the obstacle, the more you magnify them. The more you focus on the size of your giant, the more it basically increases. The only way for you to actually come to a place where the size of your giant, the size of your problem, the size of the situation is going to be simply reduced to what it's supposed to be if you stop paying attention to this particular picture in front of you. And once you start unfocusing, which is again the first step, and start prioritizing, making sure you're looking at basically your identity within, making sure you're working on the branding within, and you start going basically at a slower pace so that you can actually be led as opposed to trying to lead the way. Let your brain lead you. Let your brain give you a sense of your perception, self-perception. Let your brain give you a sense of how you're going to now use your will to actually go from one level to another. Let your brain now show you how you're going to use your intuition, how to basically know exactly what to do in any particular situation. Know exactly how the brain is going to now use the memory from the past, the bank from the past, from the present and the future to give you a sense of organization as far as strategy is concerned. Let the brain now imagine, basically bring, oh my goodness, go into the future and imagine exactly what you need for the present. And now more specifically, give you a chance to simply now start reasoning at a higher level. My friend, you're going to become unstoppable. And that's the place where you're going to simply reach what we call being in the zone. And more specifically, you're going to come to a place you're going to be I amness. Why? Because whatever solution that's going to be needed as far as your situation is concerned is going to come to you naturally and effortlessly. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I think I'm going to stop right here. Let me just say hello now to all my friends who decided to join me this afternoon, this evening, or this morning, wherever you're watching me from. So again, Coach Mimi Dabo, thank you very much. You are so amazing. Absolutely. I so agree with you. Whatever we focus on, we magnify. If you focus on the size of your problem, you're going to magnify your problem. If you focus on the size of your situation, you're going to magnify. And the reason why most of us are right now not doing so when it comes to this recession, because we are focusing too much on recession. We are focusing too much on the size of the economic situation. We are focusing too much on all these different problems. And because we are focusing too much on it, of course, it tends to just keep going bad, worse and worse, until basically we're going to start focusing on different issues. But if we decide to actually on focus and start looking at something else, things are going to slowly but surely start moving in a completely totally different direction. Oh my goodness. Let me just say hello again. Again, Charlene Hill, thank you very much for being here. Oh my goodness, you've been so amazing. Oh, you've been so amazing. Coach Midab again, God bless you. Thank you very much. Keeping up with Queen Eva, all the way from Ottawa, the nation capital in Toronto, in Canada. Thank you very much for being here. Oh, the Welsh Wifey channel, all the way from the UK. Thank you very much for being here. Earth Varieties. Oh my goodness, thank you very much. I didn't see you. I'm so beyond grateful for your presence. Oh my goodness, my goodness, my goodness. Yes, great farmer freelance. Thank you very much for being here. Again, my good friend, my amazing friend, Elise Aguirre 4, thank you very much. I'm so beyond grateful for your presence, for your encouragement and everything. Charlene Hill, thank you very much. Let me just see if it was the one person I may have forgotten. Afro-Mex family. Oh, my goodness. Oh, Afro-Mex family. All the way from Dallas, Texas. Thank you very much. You guys are absolutely amazing. The Gathering of Fin, thank you very much. You are so awesome. Yes. An important message from Coach Midabo. We simply have to be grateful for our freedom. Our freedom, for all the pioneers that actually went through so much and still left beyond iconic legacies. Yes, absolutely. We are standing on the shoulders of giants. And that's one thing that we have to say. We have to actually keep in mind. Not only when it comes to our freedom, but also when it comes to our business. If it wasn't for the people like Muhammad Ali, the Mike Tyson, the Michael Jordan, the LeBron James of the world, the Aliko Dangotes of the world, if it wasn't for people like all these different people, we would not be where we are today, because they came and they simply trusted the brain to make the right decision, and because of that, they built powerful empires and powerful legacies. And when we look at what they've achieved, we can say to ourselves, yes, now we can achieve more. And that's basically something very important. We have to remember to simply be grateful for all these pioneers and all these trailblazers that have gone before us. Oh, Lady Mimi Nikaka TV, thank you very much again. Oh my goodness, let me just make sure I recognize everyone. Be the Brad, thank you very much. Oh my goodness, we just connected today and I'm so happy, grateful that you actually joined me today. Oh, piece of the pie with that, thank you very much. Okay, the Lisa D. Delight Show, all the way from Dallas, Texas, thank you very much. And of course, PJ Media Kenya, all the way from, I believe, either Africa or Europe, thank you very much. So again, my friend, wow, 23 likes so far. Amazing. I promise you guys to be before only for 1 hour. As you can tell, I've lost the ability to speak for more than an hour. So after an hour, my voice is now basically going to a place where I need to just slow down. So let me just see if there's any other comment or any question I can take from the audience before I can just actually take my leave. Oh my goodness, let me just be very quick. Okay. Any question? Any question? Oh, yes. I'm so glad I just stopped. Oh, my goodness. Thank God for the brain. Thank you very much. Let me just say hello very quickly to Love to Travel with Wave. Thank you very much. I'm so grateful for your company this afternoon and for your encouragement. God bless you. You have been absolutely amazing. Oh, my goodness. Any other question? Any other comment before we go? If not, all I can simply say yes. If you're looking for a better future, the one key thing that you have to focus on is simply your branding. If you know how to brand yourself properly, my friend, what's going to happen? Your brand is now going to start taking over and tell you exactly what to do. The reason why most of us are not doing so well because we are focusing on what is outside instead of focusing on what is within. So we focus on what is without as to focus on what is within. Because once you focus on what is within, what happens is your brand is going to start telling you exactly what you need to do. And at first, it may seem counterintuitive when it comes to the direction you're going to start taking. Take the example of Muhammad Ali in the 1940s. How exactly a young man, barely 9 or 10 will know that yes, in order for me to actually make it in life, he has to basically say that yes, I need to start focusing on what this guy is going to be telling me. This police officer by the name of Joe Martin, I've never met before. I have to focus on what he's saying because this guy knows exactly where I'm going to be in the future. That's completely crazy. In the same place, you look at Mike Tyson. How exactly a young man was barely 12 will know exactly yes, enough for him to actually make it to the next level. He has to focus on the instruction going to be receiving from this man by the name of Customer he had never met before. Completely crazy. How exactly in the case of Biddy Mason, she will know exactly that yes, once she was actually released to now be working as a free woman, that in order for her to build an empire, she first had to start by increasing the source of income. Number one. Number two, come to a place where she has to start buying buildings, buying real estate within Los Angeles, and before you know it, she was to be remembered as the grandmother of LA. Last but not least, when you look at the example of this woman by the name of Harriet Tubman, how exactly someone who didn't have a GPS, she did not have a GPS, no compass in her hand, no map in her hand. She would know exactly where to go. Why? Because she came to a place, and this is where I'm going to leave you. She came to a place where she said to herself, my name is no longer Minty. My name is no longer Minty. My name is now Harriet Tubman. I am a free woman. I am a man woman. I am a woman who has the right and the responsibility to decide for her own future. And therefore, I'm going to focus on what my brain is saying. And the brain is saying, Tubman, Mrs. Tubman, you no longer belong to this gentleman. You now have to go to Philadelphia. And she found a way to follow the brain, and the brain now gave her the intuition to simply now know how to operate on this route that she had never been on before, and to basically evade all these people that were after her because they were simply killers that were simply trying to find a way to bring her back to the owner so they could actually catch something as far as money is concerned. Completely tremendous. Last but not least, how exactly is it possible that this woman by the name of Marie Curie in Paris in 1911, she will know exactly, yes, I'm going to live what I know. So far as life is concerned, I'm going to leave the world of physics and now go to chemistry, and somehow know that chemistry is going to give her also another second Nobel Prize as far as her life is concerned. Completely crazy. I've not even met a man who's actually won a Nobel Prize, but this woman, she found a way to just go on to make some key decision, and within this decision, she was able to get 2 Nobel Prizes and to actually give a young daughter the confidence to know one day she was going to do the same, and that's exactly what she did in 1935. And last but not least, in the case of Albert Einstein, how exactly did he know in 1933 that yes, when he moved to America, that was the place for him to be and not to go back to Germany? Again, that is branding. The brain simply told his brain, now my friend, you're in America. America is the future. As far as your place is concerned, you're going to stay. You're not going back to Switzerland. You're not going back to Germany. You're going to stay here. And as he stayed there in 1939, 6 years later, Germany went on to actually invade Poland, and that was the beginning of what we came to know as World War II. Completely crazy. So again, trust your identity, trust more specific your personal brand. Your personal brand is going to tell you exactly what to do, and your personal brand is going to simply tell you to focus on what the brain is going to be telling you. You're simply going to find a way to unfocus, to prioritize, slow down, and simply let the DMN take over. And once it takes over, you're going to come to a place where you're going to be what I would simply call no thought. Just one last technique. In the world of meditation, there's one particular thing that people who do meditation have to focus on from time to time. Come to a place where you have absolutely no thought. As you're meditating today, I'm just going to invite you to close your eyes after you do some breathing exercises. And as you're going to close your eyes, I'm just going to invite you to focus on your thoughts. Whatever your thoughts are in a moment, focus on them. Follow them and let them just go run rampant in your head. And after about 4 or 5 minutes, I'm going to invite you to do the one key thing. Now, stop focusing on your thoughts. Start focusing now on the next thought. And very quickly you're going to realize that it is impossible to catch the next thought, because the brain, deep inside, it's always a place of silence. We are the one that actually bring all the noise into the brain. If you can learn how to slow down, learn how to slow down, and get in tune with yourself, get in tune with the kingdom within, and come to a place where there's absolutely no thought, and let your brain take over. When you simply reach the place of no thought, when you start focusing on the next thought, you're going to come to a place where you're going to simply shut down all activities around your brain and be in sync with your brain. And as you're in sync with your brain, the DMN will take over. And that's exactly what Jesus was talking about in Matthew 6:18, I believe. It says, take no thoughts for tomorrow. Because tomorrow is basically the day that's going to come after. If you come to a place where we are one with tomorrow and you simply say to yourself, tomorrow, I don't know what tomorrow is going to bring, but I'm simply going to get to a place of no thought. When you get to a place of no thought, you're going to let your brain take over. And as your brain takes over, it's going to activate the DMN. And as the DMN is activated, you're going to now come back to a place of the book of Exodus, where basically you're going to find yourself in a place of I am. People that simply ask you, who are you? You're going to simply say, I am that I am. Because you know what? I have the power to embody whatever I choose to embody, because I've come to a place where I am now one with this particular device, particular tool within me, which is simply the brain. All right? Yes, I'm going to stop you right now. Thank you very much for watching. So looking forward to sharing more with you in the days to come. Oh my goodness. Oh, last question. I'm getting here. Where do I shop for my clothes? As a matter of fact, very good question. I'm so big into branding because I have a brand that I actually parked for a few years now. The brand is simply called Sans Façon. The brand simply is a place of excellence that focuses on actually providing men and women all the accessories that can help them present themselves as far as the arena of life is concerned. This is the logo that I actually put together a few years ago. And as a matter of fact, all these accessories here, all these accessories are basically things that I was able to create with my hands, and eventually get people to actually work for me and actually produce more as far as this is concerned. The website was actually completely shut down for the past 2 or 3 years, but we are working hard to bring it back to a place where you can start operating. And once it's actually ready, I'm sure you're going to be able to actually go there and shop and buy as much as you want. And of course, you're going to see basically where I get this sense of putting myself together from as far as this is concerned. That was a great question. That was a great question. Yeah, I love you. I love you very much. Oh my goodness. I love your question. This was completely unscripted. Thank you very much. Yes. Yeah, so again, let us be grateful for what we have right now, because whatever we have right now, if you can actually find a way to actually unfocus, because every situation that we have in front of us is basically, it's a blessing in disguise. It's basically an opportunity in disguise. If you can find a way to simply unfocus, stop looking at that problem, you're going to see that behind that particular problem, beyond that particular obstacle, there is something greater than you can possibly see. But the only way to see it, if you can simply reduce the size of what you perceive to see as an obstacle, and the rest is going to be simply a piece of cake. All right? Thank you so very much again for watching. Looking forward to sharing more with you in the days to come. Until then, take good care. Remember, the best is yet to come. And not for the best to be manifesting, you have to be intentional about, number one, your identity, and number two, your branding. And your branding, as it becomes more evident as far as you are concerned, it's going to give you the right step and the right strategies as far as vision, goals, and objectives are concerned. All right? Love you so much. And as far as this day is concerned, I'm out. Shall I see you?